Hi, Dr. Carter. So today I'm talking about urban ecosystems. My name's Christian. And can't really talk to the class, but yeah. Hold on. All right. So the number one example of a sustainable city is Portland, Oregon. They use like as little fossil fuels, and they use a lot of reusable energy, and they're very clean. So they also have the highest bike to work ratio. They don't have a lot of cars on the road like a normal city would. They're very green. They have a lot of parks, and yeah, they have a lot of parks. So it keeps it nice and green for their city, and they because of that, because of the parks and areas like that, there's not a lot of pollution and just garbage laying around. They keep it very nice, very clean for everyone living there, and it seems like everyone is on the same page. And their governor actually has a sustainability policy for the city, so everyone can follow along, and they have rules, so it really helps them out. All right, so trends. So urbanization has led to a big change in the Earth's ecosystems. Since World War II, urbanization proceeded at a rapid rate, with more cities growing and more people moving to cities. In 1950, 29% of the world population lived in urban areas. That's increased a lot since moving to today, where 54% of people are urban areas. I messed up in that, but 54% of people live in urban areas now in countries, not third world countries, but wealthier countries, and they expect that that's gonna move to 67% by 2050, but other articles have said that that can be even higher by then. This is projected because the birth rate, the death rate, and the population has decreased, and because of that, more people are going to want to move to one place or one city, especially if you're young. And yeah, that was found in 16.6 of the textbook, those stats. So it continues. So the world's wealthiest countries are very urbanized. They don't have like a lot of farms, or they do, but a lot of people live in wealthier areas because they don't need to do their own work. They don't need to, make their own food. They're living very wealthy lives. So in wealthy countries, and by wealthy, it's like countries like that are like mostly wealthy, not wealthy everywhere, but like United States and like Dubai, like Germany, France. They're well considered wealthy countries, but 81% of people live in in the cities in wealthy countries. The population of a U.S. city is growing by 1% every year, and when that's increasing, the population of rural communities are declining by 0.9%. So as cities grow, rural areas are declining, and if it continues at that rate, then cities will just keep getting bigger. So yeah, an assumption after seeing those stats would be that people are moving to cities more than they're moving to rural areas, and if it actually continues by that rate, going up 1% every year, the rate of populations will double in the next 60 years. So not only will more people be living in cities, but cities will also probably get bigger and expand, kind of like what Los Angeles is trying to do right now with their transportation. So a mega city is can't say that, metropolitan area, I spelled that really bad. Metropolitan area, geez. Area with over 10 million people in a widely distributed and growing in numbers. So this is like Los Angeles, New York, cities that just have like millions of people in them. So because they're so big, most of the energy that fuels these cities and gives them energy are fossil fuels, which actually damages the ecosystem. Urban waste often accumulates in huge garbage and landfill and will one day be too late for us to help or change. So yeah, that was kind of weird to read, but yeah, so pretty much we're just hurting these areas, even though it does help us as humans, like living in a place like a city because you have all your resources around you. But overall, it's hurting the world around you because you're taking a lot of resources from them and resources that help animals and other people to live. So yeah, but what caught my attention is the living for an urban dweller uses more electricity. Oh, that's mixed around, but so a person who lives in a rural community actually uses more electricity, like for their houses, than a person who lives in an urban area. Because if you think about it, if you live in New York City, you don't have like a huge house. Normally you're in a condo or apartment. You don't really have like your own yard and trees and all that. So the person who lives in a rural area has maybe a bigger house, so they use more electricity to kind of go by their daily needs. That was found in 16.8 of the textbook. Yeah. So the urban climate, cities capture and keep heat more in the city. Cities are normally warmer than rural areas, not fresher, but warmer. Like I definitely live in a colder rural area than a hot city because it's just better air and better living to me. So there's 4 reasons why urban areas are so warm. Number 1, there's less vegetation, less soil. Yeah. So because of that, the ground is sealed with concrete and asphalt. There's buildings around it, and with that, the air has no pocket to escape, so it's pretty much just sitting in the city. There's 3-dimensional figures, such as buildings, so the air is trapped once it's in. It's harder to escape because it's like having to go around all the buildings, and if you've ever stood behind a car, you can feel like the heat coming out of the exhaust. And same with factories, the smoke that's going into the air, it's hot air. So, and that can keep it trapped in the city. So, especially, it's mostly during the day when the sun's beating on the city, but even at night, cities tend to be warm because the air stays trapped between the buildings. So I just added these two pictures. So the picture on the left, you can see all the traffic going into Los Angeles. It's like five lanes, just traffic's just like packed, and obviously that doesn't have good, that doesn't do that ecosystem well. And same with this, you can see how all the heat is warm because there's so many people breathing and everyone's close together. Continued, so during the day, surfaces absorb solar radiation. These surfaces become hotter than soil and vegetation, which are cooled by evapotranspiration. At night, it's slowed, but still there because the air can't leave the city I already kind of talked about this in this slide, but it just kind of elaborates more on it. So the 3 main points of my presentation were to show how cities and urban areas continue to grow, show how the urban landscape and climate is different to a rural climate, and to show how urban communities can help us as humans but also hurt the ecosystem. So my 3 questions for the audience were, what is your response to urban areas growing and rural areas decreasing? Since I don't have an audience, I'll just kind of, so my response would be that I don't really like it that much, because once we kind of ruin what we have, it's gonna be hard to like get it back and bring it back to where it was before. Even though I don't think it will affect our generation, I think it could affect our kids' generation or the kids after. What do you think the impact on big cities will be in the world in the big picture of things? Well, I think it's not good, because if our country just becomes one big city, it just won't be good. Leave me alone. Sorry, that was my sister. She's being annoying. Just sitting outside. Yeah, I think it will be bad. I, for one, like nature, and I like to preserve things. I don't agree with like big factories just spewing stuff into the air, and like cars and gasoline. I think that I think rural cities or rural areas would be better, because there's just more space and it's more like healthy and living for everyone. Do you think more cities will follow Portland's footsteps and become a more eco-friendly city? I really hope so, because it will save us in the future, but I can understand how it's tough for places such as Los Angeles and New York, because there's so many people living there. But it would be nice if they can implement something, even like something small, just as a stepping stone to start helping people realize that it's actually going to be a big deal soon if we don't stop. So the article I did was The Curse of Urban Sprawl, How Cities Grow and Why This Has to Change. It was an article from The Guardian, and so the article projects that city populations will triple in the next 40 years. Not only population, but also the sprawl of the city, and it will destroy more farms, vegetation, trees, and animal habitats. We'll see more animals going extinct. It will threaten the planet's sustainability and hurt the ozone. Air will not be as fresh. It will be slowly and heavily start to damage our planet. And we need to stop the sprawl and go back to helping our ecosystem as soon as we can as people. All right, 5 interesting facts. So I wouldn't say they're like good facts, but they're interesting to read. So in 1950, there were only 2 megacities with 10 million inhabitants. Now there's 21 megacities. 8% of the terrestrial vertebrate species will be endangered as a result of rapid urban development. Africa and Asia alone will experience 4/5 of all urban growth in the world in the next 10 years. In the next 4 decades, all of the world's population growth is expected to take place in urban areas. In 2005, cities occupied 2% of Earth's surface, but the inhabitants used 75% of the planet's natural resources. So not really positive facts, but it's interesting to read how much things have changed in the last 20 years, even from 2000 to right now. It's crazy. And that's my bibliography. I'll send the presentation now. All right, thank you.